Hey everybody, Dr. Fisher here. So today I wanted to talk about something that's coming up with a lot of patients. I was just talking with Tim this morning, and as we transition into this time of year where it's darker, your body's systems are not quite as well regulated, sleep has come up as a major issue really consistently lately. So I wanted to talk about a couple of really simple basics. So for example, sleep is one of our number one most important pieces that we have to have if we want to heal and recover and have enough energy to function. Now, as it gets darker here in the Northwest, one of the things that I do, for example, is I recommend everybody do one of these. I've got a full spectrum 10,000 lux light that I put on. I leave it right here. It's sitting roughly a foot away from me. I usually keep it on. I usually get here about 8 o'clock in the morning. I usually leave about 6 o'clock at night, but I usually shut it off around 1 to 2 o'clock, trying to simulate what it's like to actually be in the sun and or in other climates where it might be a little lighter consistently. So that's going to be one of the simple things you can do, and I recommend that to everybody who lives in the Northwest. There's a lot of good science and research on it. Something that I do personally is I'll do a stand-up tanning bed at my gym. I've got a Planet Fitness membership, and I usually go once a week where I'll put, I'll do like 6 minutes a week on the stand-up tanning bed with a full UVB, full spectrum light in the bed. And that really helps all the cells of your entire body be able to receive light. So that's a really important piece. Also, the structure, the form and function of your sleep routine. We are creatures of habit. We get on cycles, just like the earth is on a cycle. We're in a cycle right now. We're transitioning the weather patterns outside. Currently, while I'm recording this video, we're going into the winter time, so it's getting dark and cold, and as everything's transitioning, the time frame changes a little bit, but the cycle is still there, and there's consistency there, and so that structured cycle is something that our body follows. So if you're struggling with some sleep, one of the simple things you can do is you can add some more structure into your sleep. So, and again, to just reference the light piece is about waking you up in the morning so your body can get on a regular cycle so you can sleep better at night. And so as you get on a routine, usually what I have people do is I have them pick a time frame in which they wake up and go to sleep at. So roughly, say for example, you're going to bed roughly about 10 o'clock at night. I usually like to have people pick a time. So for me, I like to pick 10 o'clock. So I like them to go to sleep no earlier than an hour before and an hour later. That allows the body to get on a regular routine. And so, for example, let's pick 10 o'clock, my schedule. So I like to go to bed at the earliest 9 o'clock and at the latest 11 o'clock. And I try and stick pretty consistent with that, regardless whether I'm traveling. And that allows the body's internal clocks to be able to sync up. The better syncing that you have, the more effective that's going to work. So also on top of that structure of going to bed roughly at the same time is some sleep hygiene ideas. So for example, avoiding blue lights an hour before bed. So all electronics have blue lights. Now there's a lot of filters you can get, f.lux on your computer. There's some new filters on Android and iPhones that's very important to be able to turn those on. And or you can get, I have some blue light blocking glasses that I'll also put on. You can get them pretty cheap anywhere anymore. So those are things that are going to help you establish a regular routine and allow your body to recognize that it's time to go to bed. Your nightly routine too, brushing your teeth, how you kind of turn the lights down, whatever you typically do, also subconsciously prepares the brain to be able to get into a place where it says, oh yeah, I know this. This is the program that initiates in my environment that I'm supposed to start getting ready for bed. So the more routine we can have that, the more we can develop an actual program here for your brain, your body's going to follow that program, then you're going to have a much easier time over time as you establish that routine to get to bed, which again is one of the most important pieces to sleep. And or when you sleep, it's one of the most important pieces that allow you to have health, because that's when your brain is detoxing, that's when your recovery process is happening. So very, very important. So I also wanted to go through and talk about some of the supplements that I regularly give people here in the office Again, this is not a diagnosis or treatment, but this is what I would do in a certain situation. So I wanted to walk you through what I carry in the office, or some of the things I carry in the office that might be of help, that are available that we carry regularly on the office. And so I'm going to start with single nutrient and or single herb ideas first, and kind of walk you through how that might be beneficial and in what circumstances those are going to be beneficial. So the first one that I want to talk about is magnesium. Now, this is magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is a good all-around, very inexpensive, natural muscle relaxant. So usually I have people, especially if they got maybe a little bit of constipation, I have them do this at night before bed, either at dinner time or right before bed, depending on how quickly it affects them. If they got a little constipation piece, we can pump it up a little bit. It's good for the cardiovascular system. And the natural muscle relaxant, it's kind of like if you were to do Epsom salt baths at night, your body's going to be able to receive that and to be able to relax the muscles. That's going to be a really important piece. Now, I do capsule form because some people don't like the powder, but what we do at home every night, and my 6-year-old loves this stuff, is the Calm Magnesium, and it comes in a variety of different colors and flavors. This one's raspberry lemon. There's some orange, some different ones. I don't know that I have a favorite, but you can start with a teaspoon or whatever the directions say. For me, at this point in time, I just tap it on the edge of the thing until it fills up. So that's kind of how I do it. This is very, very good. It's nice. It's part of our nightly routine at our house. If we don't do it, the kids remember, especially my 6-year-old. And so again, it's part of that routine. Now, one variation of that I also do carry in the office is something called magnesium glycinate. It's a little more absorbable, if you will, and there's a little more science and research that says it actually helps with focus a little bit more, so that might be something to consider. Usually I have 2 caps as the dose on either of these magnesiums. This one is not going to soften the stool as much. This one's going to be more focused on the brain aspect. So that's something to consider. If you want a little brain something or other, if you want a little muscle relaxation for a little bit better sleep, the magnesium glycinate is a good way to go. Now, if we want to, and generally speaking, with the way in which I'm doing this, you can do some combination of things. At the end, I'm going to share some combination remedies. But this one is a single herb that works exceptionally well. Valerian is a really good herb. It has a calming, soothing effect on the nervous system that helps prepare you and go to sleep. So this one's pretty reasonably priced. A couple of these, I usually have people take like at dinner time. I'll have them take 1 or 2, and then depending on how far from dinner to bed, I'll have them take maybe another 1 or 2 at bedtime, depending on how much additional that they need, and or in conjunction maybe with a little magnesium. Now, melatonin is one that I reserve. I don't like giving people this one for any long lengths of time unless you're over the age of 65. Now, this is a very high dose melatonin 10 milligrams. Generally speaking, this is part of one of the COVID protocols, and it's very good from an antioxidant perspective. Short-term use, it's produced in the brain, and so it's a hormone, and so I don't like to use something that allows the body to get too lazy for too long. It's a good short-term piece. And sometimes the key with melatonin is understanding that sometimes it hangs around in the system for a long period of time. So some people don't like melatonin because on the rare occasion it does give maybe nightmares and or they feel a little groggy during the next day. So one of the things that I'll have people do is let them know that it takes up to 3 hours for the melatonin to affect their central nervous system. So sometimes I'll have people take the melatonin 3 hours before bed, especially if they're getting any hangover for the next day. So a regular dose of melatonin is 1 to 3 milligrams. I do have it in some of the other supplements I have. So for example, Myocalm Plus is another one that I carry. And then these are all from professional companies. I know the quality and the specificity in relation to the herbs and the nutritional pieces. These are all tested. So their cost is a little bit more, but you're getting a good bang for your buck. And so that's generally speaking what I like to carry in my office. Something that's reasonably priced, something that I know is quality, something that's going to make a difference when I'm giving it to my patients, because people like to come to me because I get results. So the Myocalm Plus is one that's going to be a combination of magnesium, calcium, and then it's got some herbs in there. And it's also got a little valerian in there. Now, this one does not have the melatonin. Now, I've got a slight variation of this. because it depends on the person and it depends on the situation, there are some situations where I like to have a little melatonin, at least for a short period of time. And so I'll throw in the sleep blend. So I don't mind it at a very, very low dose. This is a 1 milligram. So depending on the patient's individual needs, some people don't tolerate melatonin very well. So this is the one that I will give. It's very inexpensive. Some people tolerate the melatonin and need that extra little piece, and then I'll do the sleep blend. So these ones I give out on a very regular basis, and they're a good, at least short-term solution to help you maybe reestablish a good sleep routine. Now, this is one that I personally take most nights of the week. Now, this one is called Cortisol Manager. This is one that's a little more expensive. These puppies are about $1 a pill, but the reason why I take them is because they work exceptionally well. Now, Cortisol Manager is exactly what it is. Cortisol is a stress hormone that helps you get going throughout the day, and it's a hormone that you get kicked into gear when you get into a stress response. And I tend to like to push myself really hard, and the work I do is really hard, really heavy, and I can get triggered throughout the day too. So that spikes my cortisol levels. And so one of the things I love to do at night is to take Cortisol Manager. It's got some adaptogens in there, so it'll help you kind of balance out your stress and help brings your cortisol levels down at night. So if this is something that you're struggling with, this idea that you feel like maybe you're tired and wired and your stress levels have been really, really high, that sort of thing, that's the situation in which I typically, because I tend to be a little on the high stress sometimes. I still work through it all day long, but this is very nice from a simple biochemistry perspective where I take one of these at night and I notice a physical difference in my biochemistry at night. It really does take the edge off for helping me sleep. And then the last one for today is a really simple one that I use from one of the oldest supplement companies available, which is called Mintran. And Mintran is super awesome in certain situations. So for example, if you've got a little bit of anxiety, if a person's got a little bit, kind of on that edge on a regular basis, and then just need to take the edge off, but you don't want anything super pushy, I love using Mintran. Mintran's awesome. So it stands for a mineral tranquilizer. And it is just what it is, right? So it's given as a dose-wise, as it says on the front here, right? 4 tablets per meal. So this is one that I will regularly give people throughout the day. And what it'll do is it'll help keep them stable throughout the day and not peak too high, right? And then it allows them to have a lower threshold when it's time to go to sleep. It doesn't take much to get to sleep. So sometimes I'll use this in combination with others, but a lot of times this is the one, okay? So this is a great little setup and or kind of a quick run through of things that you can do right now to improve your sleep. So I hope this was helpful today, and look for more educational videos coming soon. This is Dr. Fisher signing out.